hope you're safe and sound. Today is my consecutive 28th lecture on ISPS code. How do we interface on board with respect to the ISPS code, which came into force in year 2004. We will talk about the modalities which are incorporated in the ISPS code as per the implementation since 2004. And through the evaluation since 2004, there have been some changes which have taken place. Like for instance, enhanced maritime security policy, which is in concurrence with SOLAS. Now coming to this is just a little introduction. We're going to talk about it, but first I'd like to address my audience. I hope you all are safe and sound from the Chinese Wuhan virus, which has created now menace as far as the third wave is concerned. I hope all of us are vaccinated and protected from the menace of Chinese Wuhan virus. When I say so, we are also looking after as far as the COVID appropriate behavior and COVID prevention is concerned. I'm going to scan the camera to my crew, and you can see we are all in compliance as far as the COVID appropriate behavior is concerned. So gentlemen, how's the juice? How's the juice? How's the juice? Great. Okay. Now coming to the subject matter, I'm going to just go a little bit on the presentation, PowerPoint presentation, the maritime security policy, which is for ISPS code, conglomerated with the following implementation of the ISPS code: SOLAS new chapter 11/2 special maritime enhanced security policies, STCW2 compliance, SUA convention, IMO flag state, IRSO, CSO, PFSO, all their roles are inter alia. This is just to tell you the evolution of ISPS code. How did it start? Because of September 11, the 9/11 attack which took place, US was the first country which started implementing this policy of security. And thereafter it was with conglomeration with the IMO and so many other parties which we talked about. It was thereafter brought into force under tacit acceptance and implemented thereafter. Now, I'm not going to go through the circulars. All these circulars are there, which we'll talk about it later, taking the purview of the lecture. These 6 were adopted in March. On March 10th, 1988 came into force, 92, 2007, 2005 protocols, while 14 October 2005 it came into force on 28 July 2010. That is the list of previous efforts of IMO towards maritime security policy. And the circulars are mentioned over here under SUA convention. Now, the things what we follow on board, besides the other things what we do on board is, passenger ships, they have a higher grade of security policies. I'm talking about the cargo vessels, the SIN, Ships Identification Number, IMO. You know, IMO number is normally put on the conspicuous location on deck and as well as in the engine room, right? So on superstructure, the dimensions are given. I'm not going to go in machinery spaces. It should be 100 millimeter in height with the width in proportion to the height. Now, the regulations, see what happens. ISPS code starts with IMO. It's like the IMO and then the flag state. And then comes under the flag state is the CSO. Under that, the vessel, the master and the SSO comes. So hierarchy starts from IMO, the flag state, the CSO, master and the SSO. And who is the SSO on board? The chief officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this covers up most of the things regarding obligation towards a contracting government. Contracting government is the flag state government. Requirement for the companies and ships, that is basically looked after by the CSO. And ship security alarm system, threats to ships, master's discretion for ship safety and security. I'll go down further to explain this in details. Okay. Relevant government legislation and regulation. The port facility security officer should receive the following training, which I think Chief also you must have received. The DOS, Declaration of Security Document. Whenever you go to a port, this document is mandatory to ensure that somebody signs your DOS. Okay, we are getting all the DOS signed for every port of call. Okay. Statement of compliance by the Port Facility Institute, offense, responsibility, authority, declaration of security. I will go down further. Now let's talk about the CSO. We know who is the CSO on board of our company. Okay. Huh? That is the DPA.
Sunday.
Okay. Now CSO. What are the obligations of a CSO? The company security officer. Company security officer means a person designated by the company for ensuring the ship security assessment is carried out, that a ship security plan is developed, submitted for approval, thereafter implemented and maintained, and for a liaison with the port facility security officer and the ship security officer. So these are the obligations of a CSO under the flag state. Above flag state is the IMO. Okay. Ship security officer. Ship security officer means a person on board a ship accountable to the master who is designated by the company as a responsible security of the ship, for the responsible security of the ship, including implementation, maintenance of the security plan and or for liaison with the company security officer and the port facility officers. So that's what is your responsibility, Chief Officer, under my authorization. Okay. Now, the DOS, the Declaration of Security, means agreement reached between a ship and either a port facility or another ship. Another ship means when we are doing the STS operations, or another ship with which it interface specifying the security measures each will be implemented. Coming to the next is, okay, what all equipments do we have for under ISPS? One is the SAS. We all know SAS. Ship Security Alert System, right? The deck officers in particular know it well. Security sensitive information and communication. The sensitive security communication, if they are to be carried out, it is between the master and the authorities or the port facilities and or the terminal as deemed necessary. Then comes to the AIS. We have the AIS on bridge, which we always leave it on, whether we are transiting through HRA or not. AIS must always be kept on. Pre-arrival notification, which is given by the master. LRIT, we know LRIT. What is LRIT? Long range identification system, which has got a purple finder. Purple finder means the company or the CSO can track the ship every second where she is bound to or where she is going to. In case, suppose the ship is in a jeopardizing situation where the SAS has to be activated, it will continuously keep on giving the position of the vessel as per LRIT. Okay. Ship security assessment, of course, we need to do it before our audit and before what do you call this, the certification of the vessel is taking place. as far as the initial entrance certificate is concerned, which every ship has the initial security assessment. Now, so far I talked about the legislation in a very nutshell, because this particular slide is for SSO course, which I conducted in quite a few maritime colleges when I'm ashore. Now, coming to the point, we are under COVID constraints. We all know that, right? What are the 3 Massacre levels? Can anybody tell me? Speak louder, whosoever was speaking. SSO, what are the 3 Massacre levels?
Level 1 to
Massacre level 1, Massacre level 2, and Massacre level 3. Now, what are the provisions? Now, this I'm in particular addressing to the whole staff, but all the deck personnel should take the cognizance. Why? Because either the AB or OS or some officer will be standing by at the gangway whenever somebody comes on board. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask. Now, the initial interface between the ship and shore takes place when we are filling up the pre-arrival. The port authority will ask, okay, what is the Massacre level vessel is maintaining? Vessel will say number 1. In case the port authority is at Massacre level 2, then once the vessel comes to the territorial sea of that port authority, vessel will raise the Massacre level from 1 to 2 in cognizance and confirmation, also approval with the CSO, who in return notifies the flag state. So coming to it, make it a little bit more simpler, that the initial interface of the Massacre level takes place when the vessel is exchanging the details between the agent. Agent is an appointed agent who passes on all the information of pre-arrival to the port authority. Now let us say, as per the agent, he issues a gate list. Anybody knows what is a gate list? Gate list is the agent in coordination with the terminal, port authority and all the parties who are involved in the ship's business will notify the master that, okay, there will be 10 persons coming on board. Port authority, immigration, customs, surveyor, loading master, etc. Ship chandler, whatever it is. And ship chandler who come on board are also authorized, approved by the PFSO. What is PFSO, Chief? Port Facility Security Officer. Now, let's say I've got a gate list of 10 people. I'm giving an example for you to understand. And I will differentiate between the Massacre level 1, among the Massacre level 1, 2 and 3 for you all guys to understand. But I want this to be strictly adhered to and followed. Now, let's say we've got the gate list. I'll take this example and carry on to make you understand better. I've got the gate list. I've passed on the gate list to the SSO, the chief officer. So we know that there are 10 people coming, immigration, customs, cargo surveyor, loading master, etc. for the next port, whichever we are going to go. That is the initial interface which takes place between the ship and shore. Now, let's say the gate list is then passed on by the SSO to the appointed or the person who's standing at the gangway, the AB, OS or the duty officer, anybody. Now, when somebody comes, what is the first thing we are supposed to do? Before we do that, we will also have to improvise with the COVID compliance. First, we have to make sure he's attired well, he is wearing a mask. Then what do? We check his body temperature, okay? And a verbal communication that asks him politely that he doesn't have any COVID history, etc. If the temperatures are okay, he's wearing a mask, properly attired, then we proceed further. We check the gate list. Number one, let's say the loading master. I'm giving an example. Number one, loading master. So we say, okay, fine. What do we do? Massacre Level 1. We carry out 10% of the baggage check. What do? We carry out 10% of the baggage check. In case somebody says no, tell him, sir, this is my company policy. But there is always a contravention or a contradiction when it comes to authorities. You must ask them politely that, sir, as per the company policy, I'm supposed to ask you for a baggage check. If he says no, no problems. You have done your job. Because he should not come and tell me, Captain, your ISPS compliance is nothing, it's garbage. You understand? Do we understand this?
Yes.
You are supposed to politely ask him, sir, as per the company policy, I'm supposed to conduct 10% of the baggage check. If he's an authority, he refuses, okay, fine, do not argue. You have done your job. Check on the gate list, check his ID. That ID, whatever ID he's got, make sure that ID and his face has a resemblance. Many times in US, the Coast Guard plays this thing that they show someone else's identity just to check that how conscious you are, what sort of diligence are you exercising when you are doing this interface. So make sure. You check his name, check his face, all matching, good. Next step, of course, you do 10% baggage check, which I said earlier, just to find out how many people know about. And same policy to be exercised, what I said, politely ask him if he refuses. Maybe post-trade control inspector, if he refuses, fine, you've done your job. The PSC will not come and put an observation that, okay, I was not, the interface was not up to the mark. You understand? All of you. Okay. Then, once that is done, you've checked the gate list, you've checked the COVID. First is the COVID thing, you've checked the gate list, name matches, as per the I-card, face matches, everything is okay. Next thing, what do you do? 10% baggage check. Another thing, what do? You ask him to switch off all the mobiles, all the electronic equipments, maybe the laptop, which may be emitting electronic signal. Right?
Yes, sir.
Then what do? Come on. Speak louder. Stand up and speak louder, so I know which.
All officer and escort here. Get ID.
You, sorry?
What is it? Get ID.
Once all that thing is done satisfactorily, you give him a visitor card. You have a visitor card at the gangway?
Yes, sir.
So, issue him, put his name and everything, whatever details as per the ISPS log, and mark maybe the, visitor ID card number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever we have, just mark that it has been given to him, and also advise him that when he is outbound, he is supposed to hand over same thing at the gangway. Not leave it floating around on the ship, or don't lose it. You understand? So I repeat, Massacre Level 1, when somebody comes, of course, go with appropriate behavior, those policies to be adhered to. Number 2, carry out this positive identification as per the gate list, what I said earlier. Number 3, 10% baggage check. Number 4, advise him to cut off all the electronic instruments which are radiating the signals, because that is a hazardous area. right? Once that is done, put his details, issue him the visitor card, and then inform the CCR or the reception facility. We call CCR as the reception facility. Maybe this guy may be some engine room technician, right? So you will guide him, which we will mark arrows that okay, this way to CCR. He will not directly go down to the engine room because engine room is also a restricted area. He will come to the reception facility, which we call it CCR. And that's where you are going to call up the chief engineer, second engineer. Okay, there's a technician, please send somebody to escort him. Understand? Under no circumstances shall any visitor be kept unescorted. Even when he's working in the engine room, there should be somebody in his attendance at all times. So this part is clear. Initial interface, gentlemen. This I'm talking about Massacre Level 1. Anybody has any questions before I proceed to Massacre Level 2? Any questions? Especially the deck personnel. If you have any doubt, please do ask. Ask. Any questions, any queries? Because henceforth onwards, I want this to be strictly implemented, Chiefo. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions on Massacre Level 1? So far? None? Everybody understands?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Speak louder, yes sir?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, Massacre Level 1. When the stores and provisions come, there will be an invoice handed over to the head of the department, chief engineer, chief officer, second engineer, or somebody else. Under Massacre Level 1, let's say this invoice has 10 boxes. Okay, I'm giving an example and I'll continue with the same example so you will be able to understand the differentiation amongst the Massacre level, what we talked about. So let's say in this particular invoice there are 10 boxes. Could be anything. Could be provision, could be engine room store, could be electric stores. The person in charge, when it is picked up from the jetty and landed, let's say we use midship crane at the midship, okay? That place, that person in charge who's nominated by HODs, head of department, anybody, chief officer, chief engineer, second engineer, he is supposed to carry out a positive identification of those boxes as per invoice. Clear?
Yes.
Because in this case, when you pick up that store, which is 10 boxes as per invoice, that becomes a reception facility where you receive those 10 boxes or the stores. So the person in charge shall positively identify those 10 boxes along with some sort of a nomenclature, name or identification on the box, which will be written in the invoice as well. Once it is positively identified, only then, and I'm saying only then, I'm stressing upon it, only then shall it be transferred to the storage facility. When I say storage facility, means in your stores. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No, sir.
Under Massacre Level 1, the watchkeepers, the gangway shall never be left unattended, shall take once every 2 hours round. Let's say this ship is not very long, 143 some meters. We can divide. The 2 people are there, but the gangway shall not be left at any time unattended. One would take this part 50%, one would take this part. When you do that, you must check everywhere around the ship, no suspicious craft and all that. Take a torchlight, swing around and do report. And you're supposed to log it down in the CCR log. That security patrols are conducted, and same time as in how 1 hour they are conducting when they're coming for tea, coffee, they will also conduct the safety patrols. Is that clear? So 2 hours in Massacre Level 1, once in at least 2 hours. At least, I'm saying. It can be more, but at least 2 hours. At least 1 round in 2 hours. It can be 3 rounds as per that, but then at least 1. Clear? Okay. Now I come to Massacre Level 2. Massacre Level 2 is what? When the security is heightened. Okay? Let's say we go to a port where it's a Massacre Level 2, what we are supposed to do. Same example what I said earlier for you to understand. The initial interface has taken place between master and the shore. That is all done. Gate list 10%. Okay? When the same, let's say the loading master comes or somebody else comes, first thing, the COVID appropriate behavior, what I said, temperature check, make sure he's wearing mask, etc., etc., etc. Once that is done, Massacre Level 2, we are supposed to carry out 100% baggage check. Well, 100% baggage check. Now you see the differentiation between Level 1 and Level 2. Well, how much was baggage check in Massacre Level 1? How much is in number 2? 100%. You are supposed to ask him to open this. Check it. That no suspicious object is there. If there is, then the procedure is separate. Inform master, inform everybody that is. So Massacre Level 2, 100% baggage check. After you've done the COVID appropriate behavior check, temperature and all that, positive identification of the person, name as per the gate list, face identification as per the ID card, issued him the visitor card after logging down, etc. Well, and 100% baggage check, that is the difference. You have any question? Okay. Space. Now, Massacre Level 2. When the visitor comes, let's say 3-4 people have come. What was the procedure we followed in Massacre Level 1? When we are guiding him to that go to CCR, we say, okay, follow the arrow, go to CCR, and we inform the CCR, right? Yes. But in Massacre Level 2, those visitors shall be escorted to the reception area or reception facility. You see the distinction? Massacre Level 1 was what? We say, okay, go this way, CCR, turn left, turn this way, you will be in CCR, we notify the CCR. But in Massacre Level 2, because the security is heightened, those guys, visitors, shall be escorted by somebody to the reception area, the reception facility, the CCR. And thereafter, again, to be escorted if engine room technician or somebody. Clear?
Yes.
You understand the distinction in Level 1, Level 2? Okay. Massacre Level 2. The rounds to be halved. At least every 1 hour, 1 to 2 rounds. This way or that way. We can divide 2 ABs or 1 OS, 1 AB is there. Or pumpy. Half will check this way, half will check this way, and a thorough checkup. Also, whatever the critical areas where we have put the seals, that should be also checked and reported. I will talk about this more. Let me finish this procedure first. So Massacre Level 2, what are the differentiations? Can anybody tell me between 1 and 2? What are the first differentiation? 100%. What else? Escort from the gangway to the reception area, and that needs to be escorted. Number 3, what is the differentiation? Seals to be checked for all the critical areas, and the rounds to be halved once every hour. Can be 2 or 3 rounds every hour. Means it should be doubled up, and when you're checking, you must even go on the bridge, use the searchlight to swing the searchlight, check any no suspicions around object is around. Also, Now this is applicable for the ships which has got 2 lifeboats. But we have only one, the aft launch lifeboat. So in this case, we keep everything in readiness for launching of the lifeboat in case the situation deteriorates. Okay? And let's say we have port side alongside. The starboard side gangway shall be kept up to the deck level, rigged and kept up to the deck level. That in case of any emergency, if any evacuation is to be carried out, we should be ready. Understand? Okay. So, Massacre Level 2, when the stores come, again the same example. Let's say 10 boxes have come. Okay. What did we do in Massacre Level 1? What did we do first? Okay. He is answering. I want other people also to answer so I know what I'm talking about is being understood. Come on. JJ, tell me. Jay.
In the plastic one, sir.
Get up and talk about it.
What is written in the invoice box must be checked, must be accounted for and checked.
In Massacre Level 1, right?
Plastic one, sir.
Sit down. Massacre Level 2. Those 10 boxes, when you pick up by the train and put it at the reception area, shall be opened up and the contents to be checked. You understand? In Massacre Level 1, what was the procedure? That the boxes are to be accounted for a positive identification. But in Massacre Level 2, those boxes to be opened up and counter-checked for a positive identification that there is no suspicious object inside those boxes. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
It's only then, once it has been identified positively under Massacre Level 2, only then shall it be shifted from the reception area to the storage area, or the reception facility to the storage facility. Is that clear? Okay. So now you guys tell me one by one, what is the difference between level 1 and level 2 when we talk about? Tell me. I've already reiterated so many times. Starting from here.
Baggage check is will be like Massacre Level 1 will be 10%, Massacre Level 2 it will be 100%.
Okay. Next.
When we have a visitor coming, sir, it should be in Massacre Level 1, no need to escort him, but in Massacre Level 2, escort him on the way to reception.
Okay. Number 3. Next. Tell me. What? You understood or not? Tell me. Okay, Chico, tell me. You received the stores. What else we do in Massacre Level 1 and 2 difference?
More strict than the
More strict, but what do we do? What is the procedure we follow?
check the
You're listening or you're sleeping? Next. Tell me.
In Massacre Level 1, sir, no need to rig the...
Stand up.
Massacre Level 1, sir, no need to rig the... for example, we are in port side alongside, no need to rig the starboard...
We keep it ready. We keep it ready under all circumstances. As an additional measure, we can keep it ready in Massacre Level 1, also no harm done. We should do that. Okay. And what are the other things I said? Chief.
In the receiving store, sir, we must, in level 2, we must see the item inside the box. And,
And
one
then
is-
transfer to the reception area. Okay. The idea is that you guys understand when I'm imparting this training, I want to make sure the message is long and clear to all the first two. You understand? It's not a sleeping show. Okay? Okay, now, coming to Massacre Level 2, what I said, the rounds to be half once in 1 hour, at least 1 to 2 rounds, this way, that way, and reported to the CCR and locked down in the CCR log. When you're taking rounds, starting from bridge, searchlight, swinging, everything, and reporting. Yeah? That is when you're taking rounds for the mooring and all that, so same time you should report also. Now, coming to Massacre Level 3. Anybody knows what's the procedure for Massacre Level 3?
Imminent.
Speak louder, man.
Imminent, sir, level 3.
I'm sorry?
Massacre level 3 is imminent.
Eminent, of course. That means some disturbance has taken place ashore, basis which the massacre level of the security provisions have been heightened, and since the vessel is in the port facility jurisdiction, we will have to comply with their legal requirements as well. Therefore, Massacre Level 3, no cargo work, no visitors, no stores. Understand? Massacre Level 3, no cargo work, we stop the cargo seas, loading, discharging, whatever we are doing. No stores, we don't receive any stores, and no visitors. Only the people who are associated with the security under the authorization of PFSO, Port Facility Security Officers. They are the only one who shall be allowed to step on board, but same procedure. COVID appropriate behavior, positive identification. Normally they don't have any baggage. If it is so, it should be 100% checked. Only the security person I'm talking about. Nobody else. And they shall at all times be escorted wherever they are going by one or two of the responsible ship staff. Is that clear? Any doubts, any questions? Chico, any questions, any queries? Okay. And there was a question asked and I was supposed to say I will elaborate that and probably I slipped out. I said I'll talk about it. Anything you remember? I just said.
This room that we put seal.
Yeah. Now that's a very good thing which I wanted to talk about. Remember, when you talk about if there is a dispute in your mind between the safety and security, remember, safety comes first. Security number 2. It's a logical conclusion. It's only when we are safe we can secure ourselves. Okay? Like for example, I can give you one example. After auditing so many ships, I've seen many places, many ships, they used to put the padlock in the emergency escape from engine room. Now that's a breach of security. When they are questioned, they know, so this is ISPS. No! Because of ISPS, now you're jeopardizing the security of the people. Who knows if there is going to be an evacuation? People cannot escape. So this is a live example when I talk about whenever you're in dispute in your mind. Of course, you ask your supervisors, your seniors, but for your all knowledge, safety number 1. Safety comes first. Security number 2. It's only when we are safe, we can secure ourselves. If we are not safe, we can't secure ourselves. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any questions? Late on, tell me. I have now explained you guys what is the procedure in a nutshell as per ISPS code, what all the entry cases as far as the implementation of the ISPS code is concerned, and what are the modalities and modus operandi under the ISPS code, what we do. Okay? Is that clear, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Message taken home well and loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear.
Anybody has any questions and query can ask, please. Anybody? Come on, open up. Any questions, anybody? Or should we call it off? Everybody has understood this clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, I want a strict adherence and compliance. As far as the safety and security is concerned, we will also do quite a few lectures. The next I'm going to take up is on the enclosed space entry permit. So you guys review it. I'm going to carry out a complete explanation of all the things involved with the enclosed space entry permit. First thing is the safety of the people, safety of life, including the litigation. Okay? Okay, gentlemen, I talk to my audience. We have just finished a kind of a structured training, kind of a lecture on ISPS code, where we have talked about all the modalities and modus operandi which are involved on board the ship under the ISPS code. I had some feedback about this particular thing from my company as well as from my audiences as well. So do give me the feedback. Stay home, stay safe, and stay safe from Chinese Wuhan virus. How's the Josh, gentlemen? How's the Josh? How's the Josh? Okay, thank you, and I sign off. Thank you.